Good evening, Felicia. How are you? Can you hear me, Felicia?
Good evening, Mr. Collins. Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can we make a slight adjustment?
Hello?
Hi. Can you
Awesome.
hear can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I
All
can.
right. Let's make a slight adjustment with the cover of your
Yes, I can.
there seemed to be a delay. Let's make a slight adjustment with the cover of your laptop. Just push the cover slightly away because it's cutting off your head. Okay, good. That's awesome. Felicia, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for taking the time to spend with us this afternoon. Can
Thank you
you?
for having me.
You're welcome. How do you prefer to be described by those close to you?
Oh, I'm a fighter. I am very determined. I'm very passionate about society and helping individuals as I go along my journey.
Mhm.
Um, I'm very simple, I try to be as transparent as possible in everything that I do. And overall, I'm just a cool person.
We are interested in your works with SureGig in human resource training. What is SureGig and how did it all start?
Okay. So sure, Gig is a company that was established to tackle one of our major social issues here in Guyana, and that is employment.
Mhm.
It is a concept that was developed over 2 years. It was something that I was working on while I was working for a BPO company here in Guyana. Because my decision, I said to myself, I want to start something, but I just didn't want to start a business per se, just to be making money.
Mm.
I wanted it to be a venture whereby, yes, it must be for profit because we will have a team, we'll need to cover and all of that, but it must make a difference. We must be impacting lives. It must create change within Guyana because there are so many things happening here with our youths and so forth. And I know, of course, the government is trying and all of that. But I think as citizens, we can do so much more to help ourselves as opposed to just sit down depending on the government for everything. Because I have a policy, the government will do what they need to do, you need to do what you need to do. So by saying that, Sure Gig was birthed. Early in the business, we started focusing mainly on recruitment. And then after dealing with a lot of applicants, we realized that there were more issues as it relates to development, self-development, the way persons package themselves. We started noticing why a lot of persons, when they send out these applications, these CVs, they're not even getting called because many of them, they're not ready, right? And so we developed our training and development department. Those guys, they are responsible for um, conceptualizing or formulating any bit of training that can help our youths. Then we have our service team that whereby we do work, for other companies, thus providing some form of employment for our youths, be it part-time or full-time employment.
Was
So
this
in a nutshell, that is what Surely is all about.
what was it important to you for to provide employment for other young people like yourself?
Yes,
Mhm.
it was so important because one of the things that I've seen, and I know for a fact, a lot of the kids that are at disadvantage, or the youths I should say, is the persons coming out from the university. Um, and there are many factors leading up to why they're unable to get the type of employment that they want. Because many of them, when they come out from the university with their degrees, they don't have any experience. They may have that degree, but they have no experience. And so you find a company, they will not make you a manager if you just have a degree, but you have no experience managing anybody. So you find those are some disadvantages that they have. For the young persons that may come out from school after writing CXC and all of that, I think there are a lot of misconceptualized theories in their head as it relates to when you leave school, what you're entitled to. For last year, I had an encounter with an applicant. He was just about 16 or 17. Recently wrote CX. He was lucky or fortunate enough to get about 7 subjects. And so he reached out to us, of course, for employment. And we were about to place him with a client. And he said something to me that really troubled my spirit. He said, because they were offering at that time a certain amount, and he said, I cannot work for that. He said, if I'm to take the job, they need to be paying me almost close to 100,000. He was actually saying, and that thing, it blew my mind. I was like, you only have CXC, right? You don't have any experiences yet. Why can't why can't you start here and work your way towards whatever it is you want to accomplish? And so I tried speaking to him. We tried talking to these young people, but there's this get rich now or die trying situation that's happening with our youths, and I am so scared for them. And I'm older than they are, and I've been through various stages in life as it relates to employment and all of that, but they're just not getting it. So I think one of the things we need to do as early as from secondary school, especially dealing with the students that will be coming out from CXC and entering into the world of work, is to educate them on what to expect and how they should approach their career development path. I think that is very crucial. As it relates to the persons at the university, I think we can do a lot more internships, do maybe some attachments or so forth, see if it's possible while they're studying to have them doing something. So while you're increasing that knowledge, you're actually doing the practical work. Thus, when you graduate, you make yourself a bit more marketable. Company, they look upon you and be like, okay, so this person have a little experience, even if it's internship.
What are some of the challenges you faced when you first started SureGig?
There were many challenges. Oh boy. The support system for young entrepreneurs in Guyana is so bad. It's so sad. One of the biggest challenges for us was finding an affordable space to rent. Mm-hmm. The price was too much for someone who's now getting into the business setting. And then luckily for us, we met Mr. Elder Marks, who's the co-founder for We Own Space. Now, We Own Space, they provide that environment for young entrepreneurs if you're not able to afford that expensive rental fee. It's a very nice, clean, healthy space, nice AC. Everything comes with the space. The rental, the subscription, very fairly. So we're able to utilize that. Apart from space, getting companies to support you, to come on board with you as clients for you to do recruitment for them. They want you to do the recruitment, but they do not want to pay. Right? That when we started, because in July of this year, the 8th, we launched our job readiness and self-development initiative in Bartica to get sponsorship, to get persons to come on board. It was so hard. And like my previous colleague, we had to go through a transition phase whereby we had to put a stop on things and actually restructure the business. So there were a lot of reshuffling that happened. But I can safely say after that reshuffle, we've seen a lot of improvement also on our end. So there are many challenges in terms of, but registering the business wasn't hard for us. But in terms of GRA and NIS, and the stress was too much. But of course, once you have a passion for what you do and you're focusing, you're dedicated and you're not money driven, because if you're money driven and then you're not making any money, then you will quit because you're all about the money. But if you're about impacting lives, making change, just, doing something different from the traditional entrepreneurs or persons who are after money, then you keep going despite these obstacles. So there were many, 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 even with applicants and all of that, but we just keep going.
So how did you strike that balance between needing to earn a living and also your vision or your commitment to empowering young people and training them and preparing them for the job environment?
Can you say that again? I missed the first part of the
How
question.
did you strike that balance between needing to earn a living and your passion, your vision for empowering young people, preparing them for the job space?
Oh, okay. So as an individual, I'm multi-talented. So I've been a freelancer for almost 3 years now. And I've used that platform. It's whereby you use different platforms online and you provide services for other companies. And you make money, you make good money, right? So that was one of my ways of providing. I had, of course, my family supporting me and my loved ones. So I was able to support myself while the business grows. So I was able to focus only and solely on helping individuals. Now, one of the greatest challenges that I had to live up to or face was getting persons employment with companies that would pay them fair. because you find a lot of the companies, they don't want to compensate persons for work they do, um, or they want to underpay them and all of that. And of course, a lot of persons, they're aware of them, so they won't want to go to those companies. So you find that it's a lot of back and forth, pulling and tugging. For me, when I sit down and I look at everything that is happening in Guyana with our youths and with businesses and everything, it's a situation that's across the board. It's not a one-sided situation. There are problems in every angle. We have applicants that are ill prepared. We have companies that want to use people, like use kids, use persons, use individuals for their benefit and not compensate them. We have the government that could pay a little bit more attention, refocus in, if they're saying they're going to help our youth, they really need to refocus their vision as it relates to helping the youth. We have the private sector that can do so much. So it's across the board. Everything seems to be unbalanced based on our analysis, and that is why we have this misfunction or this disaster that's happening in the country. Because that's what I call it as it relates to employment, getting persons employable, getting our youths, motivating our youths, giving them hope, because a lot of them they're losing it. When we went to Bartica, one of the things they said to us, they said they felt as if they were forgotten. And for us, it was like, wow, it's as if everyone has forgotten about them and no one is investing the time in helping the youth their build. So I think across the board, we need a lot of work. But I think a lot of progress has happened so far, but we have a long way to go.
That
And
said, that said, Felicia, they seem, from listening to you and listening to Jubilante and other young people, there seems to be a tone deafness that permeates the space between the government and the private sector. Yet you keep going, and people like Jubilante keep going, in spite of those young people, those that are disillusioned and can't find the rhythm or can't find their next step. But there are people like you who are doing in spite of. What do you think needs to happen? How do you turn up the volume um, so that these agencies, the government and the private sector, are able to hear what's happening among young people? Because to me, it can only benefit the country. What do you think needs to be done?
okay. So from a personal perspective, I think the first thing individuals need to do, because this is my personal motto, I say this to myself every day. You as an individual must decide to purposely and intentionally invest in yourself. You need to know what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are your shortcomings, and then you need to work towards perfecting or getting better at them. When it comes to the government, I believe they should create a panel or they should have some sort of discussion with young entrepreneurs. Hear their idea. I think they're disconnected from the youth, they're disconnected from the people. Because what I noticed when you go on the ground, the feedback you receive as opposed to being in an office, sit down behind that desk, is completely different. Like it will blow your mind. And our leaders, they are so busy that I believe they have become a little bit disconnected from our youths. So they're hearing, but they're not listening. They're hearing, oh, these are the concerns, but they're not listening. So you find the youth, they're getting frustrated. So I think they need to create platforms whereby you can hear the concerns of the people, come on the ground, meet with the people, hear the concerns of the people, hear the concerns of the youths, especially because those are the ones that are really crying out right now. And then let us sit down and let us decide together what sort of programs or what can we do to benefit all of the youths of Guyana, not just some of the youths. That is what I think needs to be done. As it relates to the private sector, I think they should really help our youths, our young entrepreneurs especially. Because if you find when you start a business here in Guyana, if you're to go to them and you're to pitch your business or your service and you're to say, so this is what I have to offer, would you be interested? They wouldn't even take the time out to say, okay, let us give them a try to see what they can offer. When we go to companies outside of Guyana, international companies, like for us, one of our biggest clients that give us the opportunity to actually show them what we can do, what Guyanese or Guyanese youths have to offer, is an international company. And it's so sad because your own people don't want to do that. And they were able to say, okay, so we don't know what you guys could do. We don't know if you could do the work, but we're going to give you the opportunity. And we were able to go in we were able to dedicate ourselves and be focused and show that company that Guyana has talent, and not only we have talent, but we have very well-educated youths that if they put their minds to things, they will just do amazing stuff. We were able to keep that client. We still have that client with us, and we are growing. We are growing, and that client has become one of our major clients. So I think the private sector, they really need to come on board, see what the youths are offering, see what the young entrepreneurs are offering. Give them a chance. If you don't give us a chance, then we can't show you what we have to offer. And it's so sad when we have to go out of the country and then you have clients or you have companies that are willing to say, okay, so I don't know what you can do, but let us give it a try.
What do you say to those? What do you say to those who say, "Well, maybe it's a marketing issue that we don't know"? And when I say we, I'm talking about the private sector collective. We don't know you exist, and we don't know what is it you're really doing. What do you say to those who propose that sort of argument?
What I would say to them is that is a misconception based on my knowledge. Because when we started, we sent out over 150 letters, and that was our copy. That wasn't even emails. We didn't even touch emails. So to as many companies in Guyana as we possibly could think of. That is something coming on your desk that you can open and you can read. They didn't even give us the time of the day. They did not give us the time of the day.
Let me go. Let me.
It has nothing to do with marketing for me, because these same companies, they go and they subcontract or they contract companies outside of Guyana to offer them the same service that a young entrepreneur in Guyana could offer them for a cheaper price. Because you're going to go over there and you're going to be paying $20, $30 an hour and all of that. And we can offer you the same service and maybe even at a better quality, cheaper. But, they just want to go.
Let me. I like how this is going so far. The Wi-Fi has been good. In the chat room, Delano Raphael said there is nothing wrong with being money driven. Banks are money driven, yet everyone uses them. If you're not in money driven, you're not in business. We need to change this mentality in Guyana. I totally agree with him on this. Yes, we must also be committed to community building and doing good for society, but financial accounting is the major part of business. Talking about the government and the private sector to some degree, hearing but not listening, if we were able to arrange a conversation with any of these bodies, say the government or so on, would you be willing to participate in that?
Yes, I'll be there. They just have to tell me the time and the date, and I'll be there.
All right. What motivates you, Filisha?
What motivates me? Being in the position to make a difference. That is what drives me, to be honest. It's like I would see a need, and then I would start thinking how I can meet that need, how I can help those individuals. And I was listening to something you were saying just now about a comment that was made in the chat where they're talking about, business have to make profit and all of that. I do agree, because of course we will have a team that we will need to cover. We will need to pay people for hours they work and all of that. But if you start a business and your number one focus is just money, 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 then you would even miss the whole community aspect of it. And that is why we have a lot of companies in Guyana that don't care about their employees. All they're caring about is that you're able to make that money. If you can't make that money, then they have a problem, because they have forgotten the need to care for each other. The human side of them it's not in sync anymore. And it's all about making the coin, making that dollar. So for us, yes, we want to make the money like everyone else so we can employ more persons, so we can give people good salary and benefits. But I need to have something that is more substantial than money, that is driving my team and driving my company.
Good point.
And that is making a difference for us, making a change, being able to turn someone's life around that may be thinking, best I die, best I commit suicide. For me, that is what is important. The money will come.
Yeah.
The money is going to come, and it's going to come overflowing.
Filisha,
but you must have a bigger purpose.
Filisha, who is your typical client? And I'm asking this because I wonder, do you engage the parents sometimes, or you just only go directly to the young people?
Oh yeah, I do engage the parents. From time to time, you find some parents, they will come in with the kids to us. And they would, of course, have a discussion with us. We would tell them, so this is what we have, and they would say why they don't want their daughter, their son to go there. And, they will explain things to us. So it's across the board. Sometimes we deal with the parents, sometimes we deal with the applicants themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on age range and all of that.
What are you telling these young people to get their attention?
So one of the things that we tell a lot of young people that we engage in is that you need to make yourself market ready. It's not just having CXC or having a degree isn't enough anymore. Before, maybe that was it, but now you find clients, they're demanding skills. Like they come and they ask you, so okay, you have all these academic achievements, but what can you do? What skill set do you have? And they're not talking about soft skills, only being able to communicate and all of that. But what are the skills? Like, why should I take you on my team? What are you bringing that would be an asset for us? So we try to tell them you need to invest in yourself. Whatever little job you can get, use it. As I like to say, you have to work the system until the system can work for you. Whatever is there, you need to do it until whatever it is you want becomes available. Because while doing it, you will develop skills. If you apply yourself the right way, if you're smart enough when you go on a job to not just focus, oh, at the end of the month, they're going to pay me, but to actually look and see what you can learn, ask questions. How do I do this? That is how you acquire skill. That is how you get to know to do stuff. So that is one of the things we sit down, like we have a lot of open sessions that we kept during this year. We invited a lot of them, signified they wanted to come. But then when the sessions are, they persons, they do not invest, they do not show up. We have a few. And for the few persons that we have that come out, it was great. Persons come up to us and they said, thank you so much. No one has ever sat and spoke with us like that. And we do appreciate it and all of that. Because I think our youths, they're really struggling because of lack of knowledge. And because a lot of persons are not taking the time out to take someone under your wings and mentor them. I know the youths can be challenging. Trust me, they're not easy, boy. They're at a different level. But, just try. Think of them as your kids. Take someone under your wing and help guide them, encourage them, motivate them. That is going to take them a very long way. Now, they feel as if they're forgotten.
How did you become so humanity driven?
So, let me see if I can make it very short. So I got my son, because I have a son, he's 17. And I got my son at the age of 15. Right? And for me, it was one of the sweetest, but yet it was one of the most challenging times in my life. And I looked at the support system that I had, and I looked at all that I went through, and I looked at the journey to get back on track and all of that. And I look at, not just from a woman's perspective, but from the challenges men go through. Because I grew up in the country and I grew up with my grandmother. So, you were exposed to a lot of humanitarian stuff. And so I developed a passion for youths across the board, be it male, female, and all of that. Because my son's father, he was also young. And from then, I decided that I wanted to create change, and not just change. Like, I'm not the show person, the all in the media. No. But to actually motivate someone to be a better than them, so to speak, or to strive to be better. Sometimes you have great dreams and great visions. And the individuals, they will tell you, oh, it's not possible. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you're this and you're limited. And you come from a family that, they're not well educated, so you can't go to university. Who says that? So, I always want to be there to encourage them. Once it's something you desire, once it's a dream, once it's your passion, you can do it, but you have to be willing to put in the work.
Quickly,
you
Filisha,
have to be willing to work.
Quickly, do you have a success story you'd like to share with us, if any at all?
Okay, so my own story. After getting my son, I was able to went back to school because I came out from at Farm 4 with my son. After giving birth to him, I went back to school. Thanks to my mom and my family. I wrote CXC. I was able to pass all my subjects, stopped for my school.
Congratulations.
I went on to... Can you say it again?
Congratulations.
Thank you. I got a good job working at Bank CH. I worked there for 5 years. It was amazing. I learned a lot. I started the university. I was able to study international relations. Still have to complete it. I have so much to do. But then I was able to do my advanced diploma in international business relations. And of course, I started my business in 2006 despite many challenges, and we're still in business and we're growing.
2006.
2016, sorry.
16. Okay.
My son, and despite all that I went through, my son, he was able to come and outdo me. And as a mother, I was so proud because he wrote CXC and he got all 8 subjects. He was the 3rd best graduating student for his school. And now he works with me. He's parents, my biggest client. And he's learned a lot from his mom. So
this is a success story indeed. Can you quickly tell me this? Because we really have to run. If you were to sit in front of me 5 years from now, what would you be telling me is one of your biggest accomplishments?
I think for me, one of my biggest accomplishments in life would be, I don't want to say my business, yes, that is a great accomplishment. But for me, it would be making my son at the time that I did. And somebody might say like, why? Because he's my legacy. Because everything that I'm working so hard for, it's for my son. If I have other kids, it's for them. Everything that I know, I have someone there that I can transfer that to, that I can transfer that knowledge, that I can groom. Like I literally groom my son. He's 17 and I look at him and he takes advice. And to, as a mother, to be able to start a company and to have your son with you and then to have him spearheading one of your biggest clients. And because of what he can do, because of the knowledge he's acquired, that you can see that client expanding and extending your business. It's amazing. And to have that support and to know that I'm not alone, that I have him with me and that he's pushing for me. I would say for me that is my greatest success. My business is always, it's going to grow. It's going to become an international brand and all of that. But he is my legacy. Even when I leave this earth and I'm gone, that is my legacy and he will carry on my tradition.
That's very moving, Filisha. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're quite welcome.